And one. Hello, Thankful Thursday. Welcome to You're a First Responder Too. Look who's back with me this week. He was with me last week in Is Your Marriage Stressed? Pastor Matthew Meadows.
Hello. Good to be back with you.
Please click to invite others to join us. And also like us on Facebook, like us on Instagram. That helps us to disseminate the programs and share the work and content that we're doing with others. And you don't want to miss any events or content that we have. So like us. Okay. So good evening. I am Mieko Paige with Live the Life, where we help to strengthen marriages and families. And this is Pastor Matthew Meadows. He is my colleague and most importantly, my friend who has been a pastor for 33 years and a marriage and family counselor for 30 years. And he has been married to his beautiful bride, as he affectionately calls her, Gina Meadows, for 30 years. Woohoo!
Yep,
that is awesome.
January. That's right.
Yay! So, have you ever wondered how you can help your friends and family who are struggling in their marriage? Well, tonight's topic is near and dear to my heart. God has allowed me to walk with people that I know and have grown to love through some very difficult seasons in their married life. And I was intrigued by this stat from Brown University that said that if you get divorced, your friends are 75% more likely to also get divorced. And their friends are 33% more likely. That was quite disturbing. But I think you've got some good news to share with us, Pastor Matthew.
Oh, yeah. That study analyzed 3 decades of data on marriage. And related to that, on the flip side, powerful friendships can also result in the strengthening of marriages.
Yeah.
The biggest decisions that we make in life as we're growing up is, we got to choose our master, we got to choose our mate, we got to choose our mates, one mate, and mates are friends, but we also have to choose our mission, like what we do in life and so forth. Well, in choosing all those things, our friends have an incredibly powerful influence there, sometimes arguably more influential than even our parents do.
Oh, absolutely, because you think about
incredibly positive.
Absolutely. Think about, there are things you will discuss with friends that you won't share with your family or your parents. So it's not uncommon to know someone who is married and is having, trouble or is highly stressed, and then just not know how to help them. You don't have all the answers. You're not supposed to have all the answers. And really, as a first responder, maybe what you're doing is you're pointing them in the direction of the help that they need. Or you're lovingly listening to them to help them until they get help. You're getting down in the hurt and the pain with them. And sometimes that is the best gift and the best thing that you can do for those individuals. As I mentioned, I have been called to do that, and it's just been amazing. Again, I was ill-equipped to really, I thought, be able to do that, but God gave me what I needed, in those instances. And so you can do the same.
Yeah, and when doing something like this, you want to make sure that you kind of evaluate the risk and the appropriateness of it. Yeah. One of the kind of rules of thumb that I use, I tell folks all the time, is goodwill and respect. And part of goodwill and respect is I don't offer input that hadn't been requested of me by another adult.
Oh, wow.
Now that's different than I do with my kids. My kids are different now. But even them, as they're young adults now, and even them, I'll ask it, would you like my input on something? Would you like to know my perspective on this?
That's powerful, because you're asking them if you have permission to speak into their life.
Absolutely. And I do that with colleagues, I do it with friends, I do it with church member people, I mean, all kinds of folks, because if they don't want to know what you know, then you sharing it won't do any good.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be water off a duck's back. It'll just roll right off. But if you are a really good friend and a confidant, and you can look at them and say, hey, can I say something to you? Can I step on your shoes without messing up the shine? You know, like my
Yes.
granddaddy used to say, you know,
Yes.
because you got to step on those toes.
Yes.
But they got to give you permission to step on the toes, and they're not listening in the first place, because they're going to see you as the enemy otherwise. They're going to see you just like they may see the spouse or their boss or whoever it is or whatever it is that they see as somebody that's infringing on them. Now, when you're looking at these things, though, when you're talking about these relationships, there's some areas to look at that you need to be perfectly aware of kind of the AAA threats. I mean, these are the worst of the worst threats. The first one is abuse. And this is the one that a first responder or a friend would see many times much more quickly than a professional.
The person that's in it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because you know, I mean, your good girlfriend, and she's meeting you for lunch and she's wearing long sleeves in July. And you know that she's hot-natured. Well, you're going to be able to know that, wait a minute, why? Well, you know, I fell down the stairs again, you know, and you're going to know, well, girl, you are a college volleyball player. You ain't falling down nothing. So abuse, physically, emotionally, or sexually, that first responder is going to see that and see that immediate danger many times long before a professional will. Another A of the AAAs is affairs, and this is including an emotional affair. You may have a really good friend, and they think that they're being a good friend to a church member or a coworker or whatever, and in reality, they're actually in an emotional affair and don't even realize it.
Yes.
There's a lot of
which is it's dangerous. That is dangerous because of where that leads.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I was going to say, was the fact that most physical affairs were emotional affairs long before they were physical. Because the friendship was built, conversation was there, encouragement, all these things. And here again, there's nothing wrong with any of that, but when you let it go too far, too long, and you're not connected to your spouse, well, if you're not connected to your spouse, you're going to connect somewhere.
Right.
You're going to find somebody or something to connect to.
Connect with. Okay. What's the
so
third?
Abuse, affairs, and the last one is addictions. And that probably goes, I mean, we say it, and there's so many folks and so many things these days. You can be addicted to stamp collecting. You can be addicted to chocolate. You can be addicted to alcohol, drugs, working out, running. I mean, it could be 100 different things. But those addictions, and you know when it's truly an addiction, is when it's affecting and impacting the ability for the couple to be together, to work together. You know, I mean, I would love to go out with you, but I got to go do this first. You know, I got to go here for. I got to go. You know, whatever it may be. Could be day trading. It could. I mean, it could be 1,000 different things. But it's addictions, and there are addictions, affairs, and abuse.
So as a friend, if I have a friend whose marriage is impacted by one of the A's, the AAA threats, are those signs that they're warning signs that this couple really needs professional help, and that they really need professional help?
Absolutely. And this is something where, as a friend, you want them to get professional help so that you can remain the friend. Because you don't want to watch them implode or even explode, and you want to be a participant in helping them to get the help they need, but you want to be a spectator in the fact that you're sitting back and you're letting other folks work with them and letting God do what he needs to do, and you can just continue to be that loving, supportive friend.
Well, that makes sense. Well, then help me identify my role as a friend to practically help my friend, neighbor, coworker move away from divorce court and towards, hope and reconciliation. What does that look like?
Well, there's several things that you can do. One of them is that I would encourage is that you pray for them by name.
Amen.
I mean, you go to God, you intervene, intercessory prayer in their behalf, using their name to bring up to Almighty God, and then asking God to give you wisdom, to give them wisdom, for God to intervene in whatever way he may see fit. I mean, I firmly believe that God can use epidemics, addictions, pandemics. He can use anything he wants.
Yes.
Because the things of this world that we look at that are problems, well, they actually maybe God takes them and they become appointments, they become opportunities. So praying for them by name and doing that over and over and over again, not just a couple of times, but consistently lifting them up to Father is one thing.
Yes. Yes.
Another thing that you can do is, as a friend, is be an active listener. An
Okay, so I'm
active listener.
assuming there's a such thing as a passive listener. So how do you actively listen?
Well, sometimes people will sit there and they will sit and listen and never really say anything while the other person is just ranting and dumping. And they think they're being a really good friend there. And in reality, what they're doing is they're giving their tacit or unspoken approval to what that person is saying about their spouse. Now, and don't get me wrong, they may be really frustrated and they may have every right in the world to be aggravated and frustrated because of what the spouse has done or not done or whatever.
Right.
But in active listening, you would jump into that conversation and make sure that to clarify. Now, are you saying that your husband is beating you? No. I'm just saying my husband is abusive. Well, what do you mean by abusive? Well, he won't even let me have the remote control. Well, I mean, and that may be there other things in present that could be abusive. But before you run down, because we throw around a lot of words, and man, we say, yeah, he's a narcissist, or she's a this, and she's crazy, and this one is that, and well, in active listening, you help bring your friend back down to a little bit of reality. Like, whoa, now, let's, and you clarify some of the things they're saying. So you pray for them by name, you're active listening, and in that active listening, you remind yourself that your friend, they need a friend to listen, but you're not there to fix the issue.
Okay, because that can be challenging now for us
because you want to jump in and bring solutions. Yes, I know you lions want to fix everybody. You know what I'm saying? And it's easy and very tempting to do that.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening? Let's say that you've got a really passive friend, and you're a very lion friend, but your friend is very much laid back, and your friend will do whatever you suggest, and then it doesn't work. Now, whose fault is it?
See, okay.
It's your fault.
Yep, I got it.
I tried you ran my husband off by telling me what to do, and whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that part of making sure you're not trying to be a fixer and you're just trying to be a friend, that is a tough line to walk, but you can do it, and you trust that their pastor or counselor or marriage mentor or whoever else that they're seeing, that they will address the changes, and you concentrate on being on the role of being a friend.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, that's good.
So one other one I want to suggest is that you want to be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. Now, if I jump in there and I'm giving you all kinds and I'm telling you this, don't do this, and you need to go over there, and well, what I end up doing is I'm going to become a part of the problem rather than being a part of the solution. And my job as a friend is to help steer my friend. Hey, have you talked to Pastor Jeff today? Have you called and have you followed up with the counselor that, okay, they called you and then y'all missed each other? Y'all have a next appointment? Why don't the next time you go, you make an appointment right then, and don't leave and say, we'll call you back. Just go ahead and make another appointment or whatever. Have you been budgeting money for this? Have y'all been talking about it together? Are you doing what the counselor wants you to do? Are you practicing these things at home?
Yeah.
See, these are ways that you can be a part of the solution.
To come along and support to help move them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the last thing I would add into this would be remind your friend that both of them have to change, her or him and the spouse.
Now hold on now, because come on, that could be a hard pill to swallow now. Because I
ask them
20 points, all the reasons I'm right, and they're wrong. Now hold on now.
So this is where you look at them and say, hey, with goodwill and respect, I've got something I'd like to say to you. Can you hear it without getting upset or angry? And let them sit there for a minute and say, oh, I can hear it, and I can take it, I can handle it. I'm a big boy, I'm a big girl, I'm whatever. Okay. Well, I need you to understand something. I know that your spouse has his or her shortcomings. Yeah. So do you.
Because nobody's perfect.
Nobody.
And even if there are, multiple issues, our relationships don't happen in a vacuum. Our marriages don't happen in a vacuum. So even if I'm responsible for 5% of 100%, I still need to acknowledge and take responsibility for my 5%. That could be what changes that dynamic, that situation. So because we don't discount the work of the Holy Spirit operating and working in our lives and our marriages. So we all have a role to play and to take responsibility for.
Oh yeah, and Mieko, I joke with you about my metaphors, all my little sayings and everything.
Yes.
Well, this is one of those times where I would tell that friend, you got to make sure that you look in the mirror long time before you look out the window.
Ooh, that's one of my favorites. Could you repeat that, please?
I will. You have to make sure that your friend looks in the mirror before they look out the window. In other words, if I was talking about Gina, my wife, my bride, what I would say, I need to look in the mirror and then look in the mirror, I should be able to give some of my strengths, but I also should be able to identify my weaknesses and the things I don't do well or what have you before I'm identifying hers.
Yes.
See, because I can work on mine, I can't make her work on hers.
Right.
But so many people come into counseling and they're waiting for the other one to change.
Yeah.
When my spouse does this, this, and this, I will, it doesn't work that way. It's got to be a both and. Because if you sit back and wait, all that's going to happen is build resentment toward the other one.
Yes.
Because in any relationship, if one's always giving and one's always receiving, eventually both are going to feel cheated and want out. And that's what's going to happen in that regard.
Yes.
So those are some things right there that as a friend that you can do to help and influence a marriage towards reconciliation, as opposed to what a lot of folks unfortunately end up doing is encouraging and toward divorce.
So what would be the one solution or recommendation for a couple and that is for a friend? I'm a friend wanting to point my friend to help. Who should they call? What program should they engage in?
Well, we've got something called Hope Weekend.
Okay,
and with Hope Weekend, what we do with Hope Weekend is we'll engage 3, 4, 5 couples at a time in that weekend with coaches and people like myself trained that are facilitators. And in that, we'll deal with some of those heavy duty issues during the course of that weekend, but give them tools where they're doing it with each other, but they've got coaches that are watching and helping and walking with them. So you've got that third voice in the room. You've got some accountability in the room, as it were.
Okay.
It's not just the two of them.
Okay. Yes. And with our Hope Weekend, we, just kind of live the life of relational hospital, if you will, that you can send people to, that we can care for lovingly. We have a proven track record with Hope Weekend, which is considered a small group intensive. And intensives are so powerful because you have 3 consecutive days of a couple being able to work together and with a coach assigned to them. We have over 84% success rate with couples, even couples that have already begun divorce proceedings. And so this is what we do. We would love to be able to walk with those couples and to love on them. Our next Hope Weekend is July the 24th through the 26th. And we'll include that information and a registration link in this Facebook Live. We also have other resources available because, every couple is different. We have a menu, if you will, of options. So please contact me. I want to hear from you. Even if you're a friend, calling for a friend, I would love to be able to talk with you. Our contact information is on our Facebook page. We will also list some additional resources that you can share with couples you care about that need help. Maybe it's sending them an article, girl, you should read this book, or, go to this website, just being a conduit for them to get the help and healing that they need. And so lastly, I am so excited to share with you that you can hear more from Pastor Matthew and I on our new radio program called Marriage Mondays with Mieko and Matthew. It's Pure Radio, 103.7 FM and 1320 AM Mondays at 9:30. And we'll also have that information on our Facebook page. Tell them real quick why they should tune in to Marriage Mondays, Pastor Matthew.
Well, if they would want an encouraging word on a challenging word on marriage and relationships related to God, then it's the place. It is a place to turn to, because we are speaking very honestly, but also very candidly, but also very, how should I say, with goodwill and respect,
yes.
with each other about the relationships and about things that we've learned and that others have taught us.
Oh, yes. So that's amen to everything you just said. And we have a good time doing it. So
oh, absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And be safe and love well, everyone. Good night.